2021 has been the most exciting year of development for Ashes of Creation. There's been a complete change to the appearance of the Dunir dwarves. We had the Alpha 1 playtest in July and August, and now the incredibly exciting news of migrating from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5. Quickly taking it back to December, where we saw the changes to the Dunir dwarf subrace. They went from this to this. There had been a lot of people complaining that the Dunir didn't feel like traditional dwarves, that their muscles weren't big enough. Now though, I don't think anyone will be saying that. And just the previous month, we all got to see the Alpha 1 playtest. This was a huge milestone for Intrepid and anyone else who was following along with the game's development. It gave the fanbase alternative content to consume, which put us on hold from watching the Nodes Part 1 and 2 videos. All jokes aside, the biggest takeaway from the Alpha 1 playtest was the direction that the combat is going in. During the beginning of the Alpha 1, the combat looked a bit like this. But now, Intrepid have reverted to having a fluid and free-moving combat such as this. The Alpha also gave us a glimpse of how nodes evolve, how questing, gathering, and open world PvP works, and since it's only an Alpha, all these systems were very bare bones with some functionality in there, but they weren't really fleshed out yet. We also saw the beginnings of world bosses and castle sieges, and again, these systems weren't fully fleshed out either, but they were present in the playtest. As someone who plays games but knows little of how they are developed, it was only when actual game developers talked about how much of a game changer Unreal Engine 5 is to development that I got extremely excited for what's in store for us in 2022. One advantage to UE5 is that multiple devs can work on a single area at once, unlike in UE4, where only one dev can work on a single area at once. What this means is that after the initial transfer between the two engines, the workflow at Intrepid will be significantly improved. And if you want a more in-depth version of this, here is Steven's explanation.
The pipeline, the way in which developers work in UE4 was through a sub-level system, right? Where you had to check out a sub-level and only one developer at a time could work within that sub-level. However, UE5 now utilizes the world loading in cells rather. And this allows for artists and designers to be able to work in the same level without having to lock it to just one person at a time. That's a huge benefit.
Huge. Yeah, from a workflow standpoint, it's like basically in Perforce, I have to check something out. And then in order for someone else to check it out, they have to like message me and be like, hey, can you check that in so that I can check that out? Because I need to implement my thing.
Or this person left for the day and they won't be back until the morning and I need that.
And they checked it out.
This checked out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's a major pipeline improvement in just the sheer capacity of people who can work on it on a particular location in the world at one time.
Then there's Lumen, which is a global illumination feature. Lumen allows for realistic light reflections without having to use ray tracing technology. It also has a much wider coverage than its UE4 predecessor, and that allows for larger scaled worlds. Nanite is another new feature to UE5, and what's special about Nanite is that it lets the developer make the highest quality objects and it will take care of the low poly versions by itself. Objects' poly counts will vary depending on the distance to the observer. Ultimately, what Nanite is doing is increasing our FPS drastically. Here's an example of where Nanite isn't used. There are 1000 characters and the computer is averaging around 7 FPS. Now here are 1300 characters, all doing random animation in an environment with effects going off nearby. Here, the computer is averaging just under 30 FPS. 2021 was most definitely an exciting year for Ashes fans, and if Alpha 2 happens to launch this year, then 2022 might just top 2021. As always, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.